Check.
Okay, without further ado, we're going to get started. As always, the first thing we do is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all stand, flag's right back here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. And welcome to the March 14th General Membership Meeting of the Council of Fort Lauderdale Civic Associations. For everybody who doesn't know me, I'm Mary Peliquin. I'm the president, so I think I actually really know most of the faces here. So welcome once again. And we are going to start pretty quick because we have some things to do tonight. We have probably the happiest looking guest we've ever had right there. And every time I ever see him, be it in person or on social media, he always kind of looks just like that. And I don't know if he really is that happy or he's faking it, but I said that he's doing a great job. And he's the Broward County property appraiser, Marty Kiar. And Marty, if we can get you going, and he's going to give a little talk, and then if you have any questions, we'll have time for that.
Wonderful, Mary. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me pretty good? Well, thank you all so much for having me today. I was really looking forward to this all day. I'm sorry if I'm a couple seconds late. I would usually have come to talk to everybody beforehand and just introduce myself to everybody, but I had some great news today, and I'm going to get to that in just a little while, because today, after a long investigation, we're actually able to arrest a few people that have been stealing people's properties. And I want to tell you exactly what happened on that, but I'll get to that in just a few. I want to just thank you for a few things. Before I talk about how our office can work with the Fort Lauderdale community and work with the residents to help people, I wanted to thank you. You know, you have given me the great privilege to serve in a number of capacities. I got to serve in the Florida House of Representatives for 6 years. I got to serve on the Broward County Commission. I got to be Broward County's mayor, and now I get to be property appraiser. And I can tell you, out of all the jobs I've ever had, this one I love the most by far, because you get to interact with everybody in the county, and the nature of the job lets you help people. And let me just tell you the big difference between this and those other elected jobs. When I was in the legislature, it was great. You got to debate big issues, whether it was education or healthcare, and you got to try to make the state better. But you were so far away from the people, you didn't always get to meet the people you were helping. When I was on the county commission or as the county's mayor, you got to make the port better and the airport better and try to make Broward County better on a mass regional scale. But you were still very far away from the people. You really didn't get to meet the people that you knew you were doing good things for. Property appraiser is the best job alive, because you're basically doing constituent services all day, every day. Every single day, you're helping people with their property. You help veterans and seniors. It's the type of job that when you go home and you put your head on your pillow, you feel like you did something really good that day. So thank you all so much for allowing me to do it. And there are really a few main functions to our office. The first function is we determine the value of every piece of property in Broward County for tax purposes, whether it's residential, commercial, tangible personal property, or centrally assessed property, which are railroads. And the reason that's important is because when you pay your property taxes, the amount of taxes you pay is a relationship between the value of the property that we set and the tax rate set by the Fort Lauderdale City Commission, the County Commission, the school board, and all other taxing authorities. And so the most important thing we want to do is make sure we get it right. And Broward County, as you know, is a big place. More people live here than 13 states, the District of Columbia, and all U.S. territories except Puerto Rico. It is big. And there are more parcels that we appraise than actually exist in many states. And even though the people in our office do a very, very good job and their assessments are very accurate, mistakes can occur, or maybe people have information about their property that we don't have that could help us bring down their market value, which could bring down their assessed value, which could bring down their tax value, which bring down their property taxes. And let me give you a few examples. The way that we determine the value of existingly owned property is we look at January 1st of the year. So when your November tax bill comes out this year, it's what was your property on January 1st, 2023. And the way we determine its market value is we look at all the comparable properties that are like yours that sold the year before. We adjust those properties to fit your properties, and that's how we come up with a value. And so right about June, somebody will go on our website and they'll look at what we have as their value for this year. Or in August, when they get their trim notice from us, the truth and millage notice, it's not a tax bill. It's a document so you can make sure you don't overly pay in your property taxes. They'll also see the value of the property at that time. And right about that time, people will call me. And they'll say, Marty, I understand why you valued my property this way, because all these other properties that were similar sold for this amount. But mine's different. It's dilapidated. It has water damage. There's something about it that makes it less valuable than those other properties. And I always tell them, well, show me what you got. And they'll provide me their information. And if it's information we can use that can bring down their value, which could bring down their taxable value, we always will. The second thing that we do, and this is what I love most about my job, is we give tax-saving exemptions to people that qualify. And there are a lot of exemptions under Florida law that people qualify for. The most important one by far is the homestead exemption. If you live here in the city of Fort Lauderdale and it's your primary residence, it's where you're registered to vote. If you don't vote, where your declaration of domicile, where your car is registered to. If this is where you live, you get that exemption. What it does, it takes $50,000 of value off the tax roll at the beginning, can basically save you right about $1,000 a year, depending on the millage rates of the local governments you live in. But most importantly, it really protects you going forward, because every year after you have a homestead exemption, the value you're taxed on cannot go up more than a maximum of 3%. And I have to tell you, if anybody here has not signed up for a homestead exemption, or if you know anybody that hasn't signed up, please have them sign up, because you know what's happened to property values in Fort Lauderdale. They have skyrocketed and they're still going up. They have gone up so much over the past couple years. There are areas in Fort Lauderdale and throughout the county, they're going to see a 20, 30, 40, maybe 100% increase in value based on the amount of money that people are coming and paying for properties. So if you know anybody that hasn't filed for homestead exemption, please have them sign up, because it'll basically mean the value they're taxed on cannot go up more than 3%, and their market value and their taxable value won't skyrocket, which would make their property taxes skyrocket. It's so very important. Once you get a homestead exemption, there are so many other exemptions that people qualify for. My favorite one by far is called the low-income senior exemption, and I'll tell you why it's my favorite. Again, Broward County has about 2 million people, and about a third of our population are seniors. But unfortunately, on average, the most impoverished portion of our population are also seniors. And I always believe if you can help a senior put a little bit more money in their pocket, they can have a little better of a life. So if you know anybody that is over the age of 65 years as of January 1st of this year, they made under last year right about $35,000. If they don't file income taxes, Social Security doesn't count. If they do, they have to look at the adjusted gross income tax line of their income tax statement. If it's under that number, they basically get another homestead exemption on top of the one they currently have. There are many, many other exemptions as well. Some are very large, some are very small, and you can stack the exemptions to reduce your tax bill. Examples of very large ones would be for if you are a totally permanently disabled veteran and you're 100% disabled. If you are, you're fully exempt from paying all property taxes. If you're not 100% disabled, but you're combat disabled, you get a percentage reduction in your taxes that correlates to whatever your disability percentage is. If you're not 100% not combat disabled, but still, oh, thanks, Mike, but still a disabled veteran, you still get a pretty big reduction in your taxes. If you're a totally permanently disabled first responder, you're fully exempt from paying taxes. And that also applies to surviving spouses. So if you know anybody whose spouse has passed on, and they were getting a full property tax exemption because they were 100% disabled, or if they passed away while in the line of duty serving us, their surviving spouses are also entitled to a full property tax exemption. If you're a widow, you're entitled to an exemption. If you're visually impaired, you're entitled to an exemption. There are lots of exemptions, and I always tell everybody, please go to our website at bcpa.net, click on exemptions, and if there's something you're not getting, you can contact me by September 18th, and we'll make sure they're applied to your tax bill. The other thing I wanted to quickly talk about is something that's very important. It's not an exemption, but it's called portability. And it gives people the opportunity to move from one home into another home and not be taxed out of that home. And here's the way portability works. When you bought your home, you filed for homestead. And again, when you did that, the value that you're taxed on was capped. It couldn't go up more than 3% a year. So over time, your market value gets very high while your assessed value stays low. You have all this value in between you don't pay taxes on. If you decide that you want to move to any other home in the state of Florida and it's of equal value or greater value, you can take whatever difference that is with you from between your market and your assessed value with you to your new home and not pay taxes on it. If you buy a home of lower value, you take a percentage of it, and it can still save you many thousands of dollars a year in your property taxes. And let me give you an example of where there was a couple of empty nesters that actually wanted to move from the city of Weston to downtown Fort Lauderdale, but they were afraid at the beginning about the move because they were afraid they couldn't afford the property taxes. So we looked at their property. They bought their home in Weston Hills in the city of Weston when Weston was built. This was probably about 20 to 30 years ago, some time ago. And I think they bought their home for maybe about $230,000 or $240,000 at the time. And it's a big home on the golf course in Weston Hills. What they did was they sold that home and they bought a home down here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Now their Weston Hills home, the market value was right about $900,000 and their assessed value was right about $400,000. The home they bought here in downtown Fort Lauderdale, the condo was right about $900,000, which meant we could move the full $500,000 of value they weren't paying taxes on in Weston to their home here in Fort Lauderdale, which dropped their assessed value to $400,000, which basically meant their taxes here were very similar to what they were there. They were able to afford to move to Las Olas and enjoy everything Fort Lauderdale has to offer. Portability can be used as many times as you want. You can use it anywhere through the state of Florida. The caveats are you can only move up to $500,000 in value if you accumulate that much, which is a lot. It's almost like moving a full $500,000 house and not paying taxes on it. And you have to use it within 3 tax years. And for our purpose, a tax year starts on January 1st. So if you sold your home today, it is now March. You would basically have 2 years and 10 months to find your new homestead to move your portability value and not pay taxes on it. The other thing I wanted to quickly talk about before I answered any questions that y'all had, and by the way, if I'm talking fast, I've had 5 cups of coffee, 2 Red Bulls, and a Diet Coke. I'm a little wired, so I apologize about that. But something I wanted to talk about is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that's cracking down on title fraud and holding people accountable that try to steal other people's properties. And unfortunately, South Florida is the title fraud capital of the world. It's the capital of the world because you have criminals, that's what they are. They walk into the recording divisions for every single county and they file fake deeds on people's properties. And they take those deeds and they try to extort people for money or mortgage rent or sell the property. And they do it all the time. And the reason it's so easy for them is because the recording divisions for every county have a ministerial duty. They have to accept whatever documents filed with them. So you have these criminals, they walk in, they file these fake deeds, and they do something nefarious with it. So the first thing we wanted to do was give the people of Broward County the opportunity to fight the fraud before the fraud occurs. So about 2 years ago, we came up with a great program called Owner Alert. It's really a notification program to let you know if a document changing title has been filed on your property. We've had about 186,000 property owners sign up so far, and my goal is to get everybody to sign up because it's there to protect their most important asset, their home. And here's how you can sign up. If you go to our website at BCPA, you can type in your name, you can type in your property ID number, which you can easily grab from our website, and you can type in your email address. And if we have your email address on file, you're automatically verified. If we don't, we ask that you upload your Florida driver's license or Florida ID. If we don't have that, you have to upload a utility bill or something else proving ownership. And then if any document, legitimate or not, is filed, you'll be notified instantaneously. Next week, you can also sign up to have a text message sent to you, which is great. And there are people, of course, in Broward County that may not have access to computers, and so people can also request that a letter be sent to them in the mail. It's a great program, free to the public. I hope everybody signs up. You can either sign up there, or if you want, Mike is back there. He works in our mobile exemption education team. He'll be here all night. You can even go back there, and he can sign you up as well. The other thing that I wanted to quickly talk about with regard to this is something that I think is very important. You know, cracking down on the criminals that do this is a crusade of mine. It's a crusade of mine because for the most part, they pick on our most vulnerable populations. They pick on seniors. They pick on low-income folks. They pick on people who own property here but may not live here. They pick on whoever they think they can pick on where they can best get away with it. And so my goal is to put them all in jail. And about 7 months ago, we came up with a program that was approved by the state and funded by the county commission. And it's called our Crimes Against Property Team. And here's who it's made up of. It's made up of our director, who is the former second in command of the Broward Sheriff's Office. It's made up of two employees of our office who are former police officers with significant investigatory experience. It's also made up of a Broward Sheriff's detective that Sheriff Gregory Toney assigned specifically to our office. And it's made up of a Fort Lauderdale detective who is part of that as well, that Fort Lauderdale has allowed us to have in our office too. We have interlocal agreements with the Broward Sheriff's Office, the State Attorney's Office, and we work with every law enforcement all throughout Broward County, both federal and state. And what we do is we build criminal cases against people who are doing this on a large scale, and we hold them accountable, and we've actually been very successful in sending some of them to jail. And let me give you some examples of some of the people that we have sent to jail and also that have been arrested that kind of give you an idea of how smart these folks are. The first one I want to talk about is something that happened with two wives. They were a married couple. One of the wives worked for one of our hospital districts. The other wife worked in the real estate industry. The wife that worked in the hospital district would find out when people would pass on. She would then send that information, including their social security numbers, to her wife in the real estate industry, who would then take that information and she would find out if they had property in Broward County and if they had heirs here. If they had property and no heirs, they would file fake deeds on the properties, and they would take those deeds and they would sell the properties on Zillow, mortgage the properties, rent the properties. They profited in the amount of many millions of dollars. Fortunately, they were found guilty recently, and something I'm very happy about. Even though they're a married couple, they're spending their time in different prisons, which is a good thing. Another example is something that happened actually right here in Fort Lauderdale. These folks weren't arrested. I'm going to give you 4 examples, but these folks weren't arrested, but it happened here. Here's what happened. There is a community where the homes were right about $2 million apiece. And one day, the homeowner association president was walking around the community, and he started talking to this guy. And this guy goes, "I'm so excited. I've been wanting to move into this community my entire life. I'm moving my entire family in. I cannot wait. We're closing tomorrow." And the homeowner association president walks away and is thinking, something's kind of weird here. I don't really understand this because I think the person that owns this doesn't live in this country and he loves being here, and I don't think he wants to sell. So we actually called our Crimes Against Property division, and we reached out to the actual owner, who was a Canadian citizen. And we called him up, and he goes, "I'm definitely not selling this. I love Fort Lauderdale. Canada's cold. There's no way I'm selling that place." And so we then reached out to the real estate agent. And the real estate agent basically said, "Oh, no, this is legitimate. I've been hired by a title company out of Orlando." We contacted the title company in Orlando, and they said, "Oh, no, this is absolutely legitimate. We have passports here showing that the owners are actually selling the property." And we go, "Well, show us the passports." They sent them over to us, and just by doing a quick Google search, we realized they were fake passports with the actual person from Canada's name on those passports, their names, their pictures, and they were about to steal this, get about $2 million sent to them for this property. We were able to stop it. Another example happened in Southwest Ranches. You had a man not from Broward County. He was actually from Miami-Dade County, and he found out somehow that there was a senior that was sick and was bedridden, and that he owned a 5-acre parcel in Southwest Ranches, all free and clear with no mortgage. He then decided that he would file a fake corporation with Tallahassee, and he would make the officer and director of that corporation the actual man that owned the 5 acres. He then made a fake ID saying he was that man. He then filed a fake deed on the property saying the corporation actually owned that property. He then walked into a mortgage company in Sunrise and he said, you know what, I'm falling on hard times. Things have been difficult for me. I have just lost so much money, but I have this one thing. It's a 5-acre parcel, free and clear in Southwest Ranches. Can I please have $500,000 mortgage? And the mortgage company said, absolutely, I'll give it to you. So this is where they really should have realized something was fishy. The closing for a $500,000 mortgage for a 5-acre parcel in Southwest Ranches took place at a Burger King in Hialeah. So they go to the Burger King in Hialeah, and you have the bad guy trying to get the money. You have the mortgage company definitely not doing their due diligence because they're about to hand over $500,000 to somebody. And you have the smartest person in the room, who's the notary. And the notary's looking at this and thinking, something is so fishy here. And she goes, can I please have your thumbprint? He gave the thumbprint. She contacted our office. We contacted the Town and Navy Police Department because they police Southwest Ranches. And we contacted the U.S. Secret Service because they handle most identity theft cases in America. And unfortunately, this man was given the full $500,000. He spent about $80,000. He's been arrested, and he's going to stand trial for what he's been alleged to have done. One more example I want to give you because it just happened today, and this is why I'm so giddy and so happy, because for the past number of months, we've been really working on this big crime ring of a number of people, and they've all been arrested. And I have to couch this, they have not yet been convicted, but they've been arrested. But they are some of the smartest people. And the first thing, many of the people that were involved in this all met each other in jail. And apparently when you're in jail, you get a pretty good education about how to do some bad stuff. And they came up with a pretty crafty, interesting, but terrible idea when it comes to actually defrauding people. They decided they wanted to use the court system to take people's properties. So here's what they would do. The first thing they would do is they would find an unsuspecting person, usually a senior, usually somebody who maybe they were disabled, maybe somebody that they thought were the most vulnerable. Or they would find a bank-owned property that the bank owned. And then what they would do, the main guy would file an action in circuit court basically saying that, hey, that person or that bank no longer wants this property. They want me to have this property. And then the return of service would actually go to another guy that met in prison with them, who was actually in a mobile home in Hillsborough County. And he would basically say, yes, I represent that person, or I represent Chase Bank or Deutsche Bank. And he would file an answer saying, oh yeah, I agree, we don't want that property anymore, it's dilapidated, put in the name of the other guy. And they did it. And they were actually able to steal millions of dollars worth of properties. We found out, this is a big investigation that's been going on. We arrested the 3 main ringleaders right now. Probably another 8 are going to be arrested very, very soon. And they're also going to be going to jail as well. And I wanted to tell these stories for a few reasons. The first is I hope everybody here signs up for our Owner Alert program. It's really your first line of defense to try to protect you from the criminals who may try to steal your property. And the second reason I want to talk about it is because even though I mentioned a few stories where you had a 5-acre parcel or you had a $2 million property here, the vast majority of people that these people pick on are seniors, poor people. The one that was so disheartening to me, the biggest one, was one where there was a 91-year-old man that lived in Fort Lauderdale that was confined to a wheelchair that just lived right up the road. He was a poor man. And the way that he found out that this was happening to him was you had a realtor and 2 people walking in his house while he was in his bedroom trying to sell his property. Those are the people that these people pick on. And that's why it's a crusade of mine to take them down. And so I like to scream about all of this stuff from the rooftops. I want everybody out there to know what we're doing because I want them to know that if they do it here, they're not welcome here, and we're going to work very hard to make them serve a long time in prison. With that said, I can go on and on forever. I get very passionate about property appraiser stuff. You all are awesome. Is there any questions that I can answer of y'all? I just very much appreciate everybody here. And Jackie, it's good to see you. It's great to see everybody. I have to give a big shout out. I love everybody here, but one of my dearest friends that is just a person that has done so much good for so long is here as well. I just absolutely adore her. And so I want to give a huge shout out to Christine Jones, who I just love very, very much. I really, really do. She is awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Anything I can answer? Yes. Is that okay? Oh, thank you so much.
Do you hear me?
I can. Yes.
I would call you if I ever had to run an auction.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I always tell everybody if politics doesn't work out, I'd be a great auctioneer. That's my next.
No, as you said, I mean, prices, property prices here
Yes.
have skyrocketed.
Yes.
I wonder how much your property tax revenue increased, and how do you plan to bring some of that benefit back to the economy?
That's such a great question. So when you pay your property taxes, it's really based on two things. It's based on the value of the property that we set and the tax rate set by your local government. And so what we do every single year is we determine the value of every property account in the county based on the data that's provided to us. And it's usually based on the amount of money that people are paying for the properties when they're coming in. And then we'll provide that tax roll to the city commission, and they'll look at it and they'll see, okay, if we keep our tax rate the same, this is the additional revenue that's going to be paid that's coming in. If we lower the tax rate, we can actually get it back to where it was our revenue for the year before, or they can raise the tax rate. That's never really a smart political thing that I don't anticipate anybody will do. So that will happen at that time. But I can tell you right now, this is going to be another year where values are going to increase significantly because people are still paying top dollar for properties. I'll give you a good example. People come into my office all the time, and I try to talk to everybody that comes in. And recently I was talking to a guy, and he called it an apartment, but he said, Marty, I'm so excited. I sold my $4 million apartment in Manhattan for cash. It was awesome. And then I came down here, I bought a $1 million property for cash, and that was a bargain. I looked at the same property 2 years ago. It sold for $440,000. There have been no updates. That is happening constantly. Everybody here knows your property values have likely doubled over the past few years. I always tell my wife, I'm just so thankful I bought my home in 2016 because I couldn't afford it today. So that's going to happen again. And so at the end of this, right about June, all the taxing authorities are going to be getting a tax roll from us, and then they'll know exactly the millage rate that they need to set on it to bring in the revenue that they need, and hopefully in a way that also doesn't overly burden the property owners. And we provide a lot of that information to them as well. One great thing, though, my favorite thing in the Florida Constitution is the Save Our Homes Assessment Clause. Because here's what it means. It doesn't matter how high your market value goes if you're a homesteaded property owner, the value you're taxed on can only go up 3% at the maximum, which is a great thing. I kind of feel like if that was not there, one, it wouldn't be fair to the people of Broward County, and two, I would be booted out of office very quickly. So it's very glad that's there. So I hope that answered the question. It was a great question. Definitely. Oh, yes, of course, Christine.
Wait, just wait, otherwise people can't hear you. Oh, you're good.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes. And actually, Mike let me know that every third Thursday, the Broward County Property Appraiser's Office is in Fort Lauderdale City Hall lobby from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Thanks, Mike. And I know everybody here knows Mike. He is awesome. Yes. I love him. You know what's interesting? So, Mike, I hope you don't mind telling me this story. So Mike has been involved in local politics for a long time, and he's very active in our community. He also likes to tell this story to candidates when they're running for office, that you must work as hard as you possibly can, because Mike actually ran for the state senate in New York, and he didn't win by one vote. And that actually shows that every vote counts. Is that right, Mike? It is. And, I have to tell you selfishly, 1986.
1,191 to 1,190. True story.
Definitely.
New York Times, New York Post, Daily News.
It's true.
Every vote counts.
But you know what, though? Fortunately, I think God works in mysterious ways, because we got Mike here, and he's made a humongous difference. Way better than you could have done in New York, and it's warmer, so it's much better. Christine, I'm sorry.
Okay, my question is this. In our neighborhoods, we have a lot of rental property now.
Yes.
And people are moving out of their homes, and they're renting rooms out of their homes.
Yes.
How does that affect the property value, or how do they pay their taxes if people are doing that now?
That is such a great question. Did everybody hear Christine's question? So I'll couch this by saying we have also, aside from our crimes against property team, we have a very big fraud team. And our fraud team is to basically crack down on people who are who are violating the homestead exemption provision of the Florida Constitution. And one way you can violate it is if you rent your property out for 30 days per year for 2 consecutive years, if you rent your property out for 6 months, or if you rent your property and let's say you moved your license and voter registration elsewhere, so you no longer live there anymore. If that happens and we find out, the first thing that we do is we take away the homestead exemption for the property. And then what occurs is the value of the property goes back up to market value. So they were probably getting the benefit of that Save Our Homes value. Now it goes up to market value, so usually the taxes will increase pretty significantly. Now, I'm so sorry, Jackie. Oh, 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 definitely. Now, what we used to do as well, when people would rent out one room, we would adjust the homestead exemption. So, for example, you would have, let's say you have a 3-bedroom home, and 2 bedrooms are occupied by you and your family, and to save a little bit of money, you would maybe rent out a 3rd bedroom. And so what we used to be able to do under the law is adjust the exemption to only cover that part of the home that is not being rented. Recently, the courts ruled that we are not allowed to do that. And there's actually a case before the Florida Supreme Court that is going to determine as to whether or not we can adjust the homestead exemption that way. If we can't, then people can rent out any portion of their property as long as they still are living there as well, and we can adjust the homestead exemption and they can kind of keep it. Does that answer the question, Christine?
I think,
I know that people are not living there.
Oh.
So they actually bought the house from somebody else and they rented it out. And I know that people wouldn't clean their own toilets. So I know that.
That makes sense. In those situations, at least for our purpose, the only thing we can really do is just make sure it doesn't have a homestead exemption or other exemptions. So for the most part, we catch it. But I always tell everybody, if you see a property like that, that is still has a homestead exemption or you're not sure, I always tell folks, let me know, let us take a look at it. We'll send our investigators go out and just update it appropriately. Afterwards, may I grab the address from you, if that's okay, Christine? Oh, thank you. Great question. Jackie, I'm sorry.
I think Marilyn has a question here.
Yes.
Oh,
Would you like?
wait, you gotta have because it won't record.
Pardon me?
When you have a question, we like to use the microphone so that it
Okay.
goes on the record.
So the second part to this, if I own a home and I decide I'm going to put it in a rental pool or do vacation rentals, and I begin that before January 1 and I'm not living there, I'm assuming or thinking you no longer qualify for homestead exemption. Is that correct? And we can report that. That kind of helps the city and some of the neighborhoods as it relates to vacation rentals, just to put a little more pressure on that person.
Okay. And
Jackie,
follow-up question?
oh, sure. I was just going to say,
You have a microphone, right?
Jackie is 100% right. So for our purpose, January 1st is what we call our date of assessment. That's the most important date every single year. So if you are renting your property on January 1st or right before January 1st, but if it's being rented on that date, you're not entitled to a homestead exemption. That was a very good point. You're 100% right. Definitely. I'm sorry.
And a follow-up question to that, because vacation rentals are the scourge of the earth around here. In terms of the assessment of the property, I live in a condominium. My property is assessed appropriately. The guy next door sells his apartment to a corporation in the Cayman Islands that turns it into a vacation rental. He pays twice what I would have paid or any other person would have paid to live in that apartment. Therefore, the appraised values of everybody's apartment in that building goes up. Can you make adjustments for that?
That's a great question, and we can't. So for our purpose, what we have to do under the law, so we have to follow both Florida statutes and professionally accepted appraisal practices. And every time you have a sale of any property, what happens, that sale comes to us, and we have to determine whether or not it's an arm's length transaction. And so here's what would happen in a situation like that. Let's say somebody sells a property for twice what all the other properties are selling for. In that situation, we would actually make that a disqualified sale and we wouldn't use it. We would use other properties to determine the value. But if other properties in your community are also selling for about that amount, then we know it's a qualified sale and it would be used by us.
So would you recommend that one of the things we should be talking about is going up to Tallahassee and getting a state law changed that would allow you to differentiate between properties that are being used as Airbnbs versus properties that are being used for houses for assessment purposes?
Oh, I would love that.
Okay.
You know what?
I just wanted
yeah,
to know
absolutely.
what we need to do.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
okay. Absolutely.
We'll talk.
No, absolutely. Thank you. I think it's a fantastic idea. Because as you know, a property that's being used for a family is a little bit different than a property that they're renting out, trying to make income off of, things of that nature. And even stuff like, so another way that we determine the value of properties is by looking at the amount of income that the property produces. We can do that, and that's for income producing properties, but we're not allowed to use that if it's a residential property.
I got you.
But there are things we could do if we were allowed to. Great question.
Okay.
Definitely. Oh, yes, of
I got-
course.
wait here.
Oh, is that okay? I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, last
Thank
question.
you. Oh, did you have your hand up too? I apologize about that. I didn't notice. I'll go right to you right next to it. I'm sorry.
On the same topic, Marty, the multi-generational families in the communities of aging Fort Lauderdale, How is it when there's family members of the next generation, millennials, when they have a shared expense on that house, and the owner, of course, is the parents? How is that treated?
Sure. So in that situation, can I ask a favor? So would you mind taking me through just a specific situation?
Well, in the landings, we have people that are probably third generation, with the grandparents having the homeowner's exemption. Save our homes.
I understand.
And they're living in that house shared expense.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's bad or good
Oh, yeah.
or wrong. I'm just saying it happens. And does the Save Our Homes go to the next generation one time now?
That's a great question.
There you go.
So here's the best way I can answer that question. So the first thing I have to say is what I've learned about property is that every property is unique, and what may work for one may not work for another based on the law and the facts. But let me give you an example of a situation where this may apply. So generally, let's say you have a mom, and let's say the mom owns a property, and that mom is the only one homesteaded. Nobody else is on the property. Nobody else is there. But she has heirs to the property, or maybe she has a son or a daughter that live with her, but they're not on the property, and they're not homesteaded. Once the mom passes on, her kids will inherit that property, but it gets reset to market value. The one way that she could, if she wanted, could protect her son is if she could change the deed to joint tenants with right of survivorship, and then make it her son's homestead as well, as long as he lives there and doesn't have a homestead elsewhere. In that specific situation, if she passed on, her son could then take it at the same value that she pays taxes on. That's just one way to do it. There are a number of different things. That one, though, I always tell everybody, if they're going to do that, really make sure you trust your son and daughter, because once you put them on the deed with you, they have as many rights to the property as you do. And I always think about this one story. Every single year, there's this gentleman that comes into our office. And about 5 years ago, he came in with his son. And he said, I want to put my son on the deed with me as well. I'm having a little bit difficult time. I'm getting a little up there in years. So he put his son on the deed, joint tenants with right of survivorship, made it his homestead too. All the father's wanted to do for the past 5 years is sell the property, but he's unable to because his son won't agree to it. So, but there are a lot of different things. I always tell everybody, one thing our office can do is be a great resource to the community, and every single person's property is unique and different. And so I always tell everybody, if you're going to change your deed, if you're going to move, if you're going to rent it out, whatever you're going to do, give me a call. You can talk with myself and our lawyers in our office and our staff, and we'll just give you some really good guidance and some advice so you can make the best decision possible. I hope that answered the question. It's a great question. Thank you. And I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, no, I thought she said that was the last question.
Well, we can have one more last question.
I wanted to know.
Sorry.
What do you need to do if you have a homesteaded home that you live there for more than 25 years? How do you get that exemption?
Great question. So the first thing, hey, Scotty, Fall Lauderdale has a long-term senior? I believe it does. He's going to check, and I believe it does. It does. So there is a wonderful exemption, and I'm very proud of the Fall Lauderdale City Commission and the Broward County Commission for adopting it, because you can only have this exemption if your local government decides to do it. And right now we have about 17 of our cities that have done it. So if somebody has lived in their property for 25 years or more as of January 1st, they made under $35,000, and the value of their property, this is where it gets difficult, has to be under $250,000 at the time of the application. If they meet those criteria, they are fully exempt from the city portion of the tax bill and the county portion of the tax bill. It can save them a lot of money. There is a proposed law right now going through Tallahassee. That would be a proposed constitutional amendment if it goes through, and I think it may, that we'll all have the opportunity to vote for or against in November of 24. And that would actually raise the $250,000 to $300,000, and I think it may index it as well to keep going up. And that's really because, unfortunately, in South Florida, there are very few properties right now that are under $250,000. It's true, the average sale price countywide is right about $560,000, which is very high. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah.
Oh, great. And all of our applications, you can actually go online and do them. You can meet with our staff. Folks can call me. They can come to the office. We try to make it very easy for everyone. Great question. Yep.
Very quick question with a quick answer. If you know someone who is illegally applying for homestead exemption and you turn them in, can you remain anonymous, or is it like the building or code violations now? You have to give your name.
Great question. So did everybody hear that? It is anonymous. You can actually call and do it. The only time it's not anonymous is if you email me. So if you email me, it's all public record. So everybody can get that. And I have learned that anybody that has their homestead pulled, a lot of times they do make public records requests for anything that any email that we get regarding that property. But there is actually a phone number. And Mike, do you have the phone number back there? Can you get it? A number that we have a fraud hotline where you can call and you can talk to our folks. You basically say to them, hey, you know what, I'm just a concerned resident of Fort Lauderdale. This is a property we think is being rented. We don't think they live there. And what we'll do is we'll send our investigators out and they'll research it. And they'll knock on the door. They'll talk to them. If they believe that they violated the homestead exemption law, they'll pull the exemption. And if they haven't, what we do sometimes is we temporarily pull it, and we make contact with the actual owner, and we make them come in and prove to us that they still intend to live there. And Scotty, do you have the number?
954.
I can get it to you too.
357 6900.
So if everybody heard, that's the great number to call if you think somebody's frauding the system. And I have to tell you, for me, it's very important that we crack down on homestead fraud. And the reason being is because the homestead exemption is very, very valuable. And if you are a primary resident here in Florida, you've earned it under the Constitution, you deserve it. However, if you're here and you're intentionally cheating the system, if you have multiple exemptions on different properties, if you're renting out your property but still getting this exemption, you're basically paying not your fair share, and it's making everybody else potentially pay more. And so we definitely take it very seriously. We put about $7 billion of value back on the tax roll, and we back tax people and collected about $100 million and put that back into the taxpayers' hands. And just to give you an idea, I always tell people this too. When it comes to committing fraud, please tell people not to do it because the penalties are very big. We are allowed to, if we find that you're committing homestead fraud, we take away the illegal exemption. We back tax you up to 10 years. We include a 50% penalty and 15% interest. It can be enormous, much more than what you're saving in your property taxes. So, and it's like that because the legislature has determined it wants people to not cheat the system and it wants to deter them from doing it. So we do take it very seriously. Great question. Oh, great. Was that channel 10 or channel?
No, it's actually the Sun Channel.
Awesome.
I got channel 4, channel 2, and channel 4.
Wonderful. I'm going to go look at that. So the Sun Sentinel just posted about the three gentlemen that were arrested today for stealing people's properties. I'm very happy about it. I hope everybody out there reads it that's thinking about doing it and gets a little scared and decides not to pick on us here in Broward County. But with that said, you all are wonderful. Thank you all so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, really, and really appreciate it. Do sign up for that. We did it immediately.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
no, my husband did it. I don't really do
And
that.
the only thing I want to say, I'm sorry I can't stay. As many of you know, I have two daughters. One is 13 and one is 10. And I have to pick up my 10-year-old from cheerleading. She's a competitive cheer. And she's the flyer. And every time they throw her, I'm like, please catch my baby. I'm going to get her right now. So I really, really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually tried to get him to come to our last meeting, and it was on Valentine's Day, and the person that scheduled him said she was sorry, but he has 3 Valentines at home, and he would not be available on that day. So, okay, and I forgot to mention, I'm not doing roll call until we do the elections, because I really have to do a roll call for the election. So it's not, I didn't forget. I just want you to be aware. That's why. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to hear from the Recreation Program Supervisor, Carla Hibbert, who I actually knew when she was over at Southside, where I take art lessons. And she's been promoted, and she has this program, and she wanted to bring it to us tonight. So welcome. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I don't know, should I turn the microphone on or? Yeah. I think. Hello? Can you hear me? Perfect. So good evening. My name is Carla Hibbert. I am Recreation Program Supervisor. I'm over Fit Fort Lauderdale. I'm also over the teen program, Riverside and Southside. So I'm here tonight to kind of share with you what we have going on within those areas. I would love to come out to the general meeting so that I can share this with all of the residents, just so that you guys are aware and we can increase participation in our programs. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Fit Fort Lauderdale. It's a fitness initiative that actually came from a needs assessment that was done from City of Fort Lauderdale residents. And in 2018, they said that they wanted to see an increase in fitness and wellness classes throughout the City of Fort Lauderdale. So they started with some classes, they had some events, and then COVID happened, and then we went to some virtual programs. But now that things are somewhat getting back to normal, we'd like to assess and see what the community, what the residents want, instead of us just coming up with a bunch of programs. So we do have a survey that's out. I'm going to send everything that I go over tonight to Mary, and she'll share it with everyone. If you'd like for me to come to a general meeting as well, I can do that. I can bring some iPads so that people can do the survey right there. We also have fit permits. Basically, that's an affordable permit that a fitness instructor can take out for the year, and they can actually conduct fitness classes. And then we have a family health day that's coming up June 10th at Hardy Park. We have some more information forthcoming, and I can share that with Mary as well. Also, the teen program. I feel like this is an amazing program, but it is totally underused. We have 7 sites that offer teen programming. So the teens can come after school, they can participate. We give them volunteer service hours. We do educational things with them that they wouldn't necessarily get at school. So that would include anything from, just being social. It would include customer service for those teens that are looking for jobs. But it's a wonderful program. It is all free. So everything that we do, we take them on field trips every month. Everything is free. We also have some programs. I just wanted to give you just some example programs that we do. We have something called Blast, where we teach the teens how to be a lifeguard, and the City of Fort Lauderdale hires them. We have We the Teens and Bridge Builders. Those programs are geared to exposing them to government and being more active within their community. We have scuba diving, something called Write It Out, where they get to learn how to write poetry, songs, raps, and then they're actually perform it. We have another program that's coming out this summer, which is new. We're partnering with Grace Arts, and we're teaching them how to be muralist. They can also learn how to do graffiti writing and poetry and calligraphy as well. And then last, we have the Junior Fire Explorers. This is not the only things that we do. There's a lot of other resources. If you are interested, or if you know anyone that has teens, it would be wonderful. Please have them contact me. And then really quick, Southside, we have some classes, Studio 701. So Studio 701 is an affordable way that we offer rentals to instructors, and they have full autonomy to collect registration how they like. They also have full autonomy to program. So it has nothing to do with the City of Fort Lauderdale. So some of the classes that we offer, which we would love to increase participation there as well, is Kids Can Cook. We have a chef that literally teaches them how to cook. They eat dinner. We have studio art with DJ. Yes, he's a muralist. I'm sure you guys have heard about the lifeguard towers. So he's the one, he does all the art at Southside. We also have Zumba, we have Ashanti cultural arts, Mexican folkloric dance, and yes, baby, I like it raw. That one is interesting, but she actually teaches how to make vegan foods, and she does yoga and wellness. And then lastly, we have Riverside is having summer camp. It is a community-based camp, and I actually didn't talk about that for Southside. We have for youth and for teens, we have the Green Room. That's a summer camp that we offer. They do visual arts, music, dance, and theater. They do 2 performances during the summer, and they also get a chance to put their art up. We have an exhibit right now that we partnered with Broward County Public Schools. If you'd like, please stop by to come and see it. It's up until March 31st. And then we're also going to be starting an after-school care program at Southside as well. It will be by the Dream Center, but there's more information coming with that. And then, like I said, Riverside, we have a community summer camp. And last but not least, if there's anything that you want to see implemented, whether it's within your parks or your recreation facilities, we have this initiative, essentially, that we're starting, where you can fill out a form and tell us what you'd like to see implemented. We go ahead, we present it to the board, and then we try to make it come to life. And that's all I have for you. So I'll send everything to Mary. Thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla. And, I'm a big park user. I go to Southside, that Cultural Arts Center. If you've never been in that building, first of all, it's really pretty. It's really nice and ample parking. I take an art class there. I do see other people doing a fitness class, and I'm always kind of grateful I'm not in it. But, and then a lot of people I know, their kids take art classes there in the afternoon. And DJ, who's a muralist, that did the lifeguard stands on the beach, and he's done several murals around town. He's the art teacher, and he's a great guy. So, and then they have the kitchen they have there is quite remarkable. So that place is really nice. I used to go to Carter Park all the time. I have seen the kids in the camp there, and it's fairly impressive. So I mean, we have great parks, and they're free. That's what I like that too. Although I do have to pay DJ some money for something, but I mean, they really are great. So I hope you spread the word and people take advantage of them. Thank you, Carla. Okay. With that now, let's see. We're going to move on to the election. So the first thing, everybody should have gotten an agenda. I haven't missed anything, have we? No. And on the agenda are the people that are nominated. There is only one position where there are two nominees that will cause us to have a paper vote. And I first want to ask, is there any other nominations for any other positions from the floor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. No, I'm going to determine that there are not. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm noticing that you have one person for all the different districts.
She has to
I'm just representing.
Ma'am, you know what? Let me give you a microphone.
Let her announce herself. Civic Association's representatives.
You can stay there. I come to you. Microphone delivery. Here you go.
How you doing, Ms. Mayor?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Edna Elijah, the president of Lauderdale Manors. My question is, I'm noticing on your agenda that you have one person for these different districts. The only district that you have two people is District 3, my district. And my question is, in order for people to vote for one or the other, Christine Jones or Frankie Lane, do we have a question-answer period in between there? And I also need to know, what are the qualifications that the person has to have in order to obtain these positions? Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay. So let me just explain a little bit. Those are all good questions. First, that was the only position for which there were two nominees. There were plenty of times anybody else could have been nominated for any other position. I noticed nobody nominated themselves for president. I want you to know I noticed that. I don't mean to make a joke of it, but it's kind of funny to me. So because we only have two people, we only are going to have those two people, and they know I emailed them both in advance, talk about their qualifications or what they've done or whatever they want to say about themselves. Then after they are done, I'm not going to really allow them a question and answer period for them. They're going to give a talk about themselves, and we're not going to do question and answer. What I can do, as far as what the qualifications are, is I can just read what it says in the bylaws, which are on the website if anybody ever wants to watch me not be able to find them in here. Can you, okay, look for that. But in general, here's the qualifications. First of all, the person has to live in the district. They have to be assigned by their board of their homeowners association to be either an alternate or a representative of their neighborhood association. And then they're welcome, anybody that's like that, like any of you, could be nominated for a position or say that you would like to be nominated for a position. Okay? Am I missing anything?
That's essentially it.
Okay, if that's the qualifications, Ms. Edna, all right? And then when we have this, okay, here is a ballot on the screen right now. Now, the reason, let's see if I can operate this and talk. How do I make it scroll up?
I don't think you can do it. I think he does it.
Oh, I have the thing here, but I don't know how to.
Page 10.
I think page up. Okay, well, you're all gonna get a paper ballot. Is there a way I can make it so they can see the whole ballot? Oh, wait, we got it. Okay, here's the whole ballot. There we go. Okay, here, we got an expert, millennial. Okay, so here's the ballot. Everybody's gonna get this paper ballot. The reason, like, for instance, for the president, Mary Peliquin, and underneath of it, there's a square and an empty line. I didn't know if somebody wasn't going to be nominated tonight. And that's true of every single position, even the position where there are 2 people. Maybe there was a 3rd person. So nobody really has to vote for any of the other positions at all. The only position, when I pass out this paper ballot, is the District 3 rep. Is that clear for everybody? Does that make sense?
Repeat it one more time.
Sure. When you get this paper ballot, when we pass them out, the only place anybody has to vote on here is where there are 2 people for District 3. That's the only place. If you can see that on the screen, you can see the ballot right there.
Okay, one more.
What's that?
That means the whole chamber vote on District 3.
Correct.
Why not District 3 vote on District 3?
Well, everybody, okay, because you all vote for everybody. Because there were no other nominees, all those other positions, everybody votes for those 2, for all of them.
Okay.
So this is the only contested position, or,
Got it. As I understand that. I'm catching myself up.
you can.
Now, the next question is, everyone in here is a homeowner that's voting and everything, right?
Everyone, well, let's back up. You should have seen, we've sent this out twice, a roster that has the neighborhood, the representative, and the alternate. For every neighborhood that is in compliance, that would be dues and applications, which is almost everyone, only their representative or alternate can vote. Only one of those 2 people. So that we sent it out because we wanted to make sure we had the right names. And, when we finished the first one out, people got a hold of me. We had the wrong names. Okay.
Madam Chair, Madam President, would you entertain a motion by acclamation to accept the nominations excluding District 3?
That's correct.
For the record, okay, I move that. Yep. That's why I ask.
President, that was done.
That was?
That was done, yes. Madam President, for the clarification, when the nominations were read, she went over twice. If you weren't for here last month, and no one submitted their names. So the fact of the matter is, by that, and by she asked again, will any nominations be read from the floor tonight? And no one submitted names regarding those other positions. President, Vice President, first Vice President, second Vice President, and Secretary Treasurer, except for District 3. And no other names were held, so automatically, those are closed. Okay?
I'd like to second your motion. Okay, so we have a second,
Okay.
Mary.
I know, I answered that, didn't I? All right, so, everybody good? I want to make sure Mr. Williams, I want him to be happy.
You got to vote on the motion, Mary.
What? You need to, no, okay.
Yeah, you got a motion on the floor.
I do.
Let's vote on
So-
the motion.
Everybody understands the motion?
Uh-oh, point of order.
Yes, sir.
Since we haven't taken roll call to determine a quorum, I don't believe it's appropriate for us to vote on a motion
That
yet.
is correct.
That is correct. He is correct.
Okay, well, I was trying to do the roll call only once, but I guess I'll do it twice. Thank you, Mr. Buchanan.
No,
No.
we got to do it.
We gotta do it.
We gotta do
Okay,
it. Roll
here we
call.
go. I can do this fast. When I call your neighborhood, please say present and your name, because I'm hard of hearing. Thank you.
I'd like to be recognized. I'm still confused, Ms. Mary, on what the qualifications are for the District 3.
Okay, let me do the roll call first, Ms. Edna, and I'll go over it again.
Give me your book so I can read it out of the, Thank you.
Okay. Beverly Heights. Birch Park.
Present without again.
Breakwater Homes. Central Beach Alliance. Central City Alliance. Actually, but are you here? Central City? No. Cooley Hammock.
President Jackie Scott.
Coral Ridge Country Club. Coral Ridge.
President Abby Lockwood.
Coral Ridge Isles.
President Rick Buchanan.
Coral Shores Civic Association. Croissant Park. Dolphin Isles. Downtown Fort Lauderdale.
President Linda Bowker.
Edgewood Civic Association. Flagler Village.
President Lena Garber.
Galt Mile.
President Marcia Rothenberg.
Golden Heights.
President Sharon Alexander.
Harbordale Civic.
President Marilyn Lamont.
Harbor Beach. Harbor Inlet Association. Historic Dorsey.
Michelle Jenkins.
Okay. Home Beautiful. Idlewild.
President Ian
Imperial Point.
President Dennis Young.
Lake Air. Lake Ridge.
Here, President Michael Alvetta, President.
Landy's Residential.
All residents.
Lauderdale Beach. Is that you, Barbie? Okay. Lauderdale Harbors. Lauderdale Isle Civic Association. Did somebody say something? Okay. Lauderdale Manors.
President Christine Jones.
Lauderdale Isle Civic Association. I know you're here. You. I think I said it wrong. Laudergate. Yes, sorry. Okay, I said it wrong. Apologies. Okay.
Mary.
What?
I'm also for Laudergate. Just Brandon Judy.
Okay. Are you Audrey? What's your name?
Judy Edwards.
Lauderdale Isle Civic Association. I have Audrey Edwards or Edward.
Laudergate.
She's the alternate for Watergate.
Oh, Julie. Okay, you're here. I see. Just, I'm sorry. Got confused. Not a lot of Lauderdales. Only one of you will be able to vote, though. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Mass District. They're not here. Melrose Manors.
Here, President Kathy Stubbs.
Middle River Terrace. Nurmi Isles.
Here, Janet Walteri.
Palmair Village. Whoops. I almost said your name. Poinsettia Heights. Poinciana Heights. Progresso Village. I know JJ was here. It's gone. Rio Vista. He's sick. Oh, don't know. River Garden Sweeting.
Here, Reed Stevens.
Yeah. Riverland Preservation. River Landings, River Oaks, Riverside Park, Rock Island, Sailboat Bend, Seven Isles, Shady Banks, Sunrise Intercoastal,
Present, Jim Concan.
South Middle River,
Present, Lynn Morgan.
Turpin River,
Present, Kimberly Slater House.
Victoria Park. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 32. Got a quorum. Okay, now, where were we? Okay, the motion that's on the floor. Did you write that motion down, Kathy, or were you able to get that?
You mean to accept excluding District 3?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion before we go ahead and vote? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Could you repeat the motion, Kathy?
Okay.
Into the microphone.
I can't talk.
Oh, you can't talk.
It's okay.
Could you repeat?
But anyway.
Okay, wait a minute here.
Someone, whoever made the motion, rescinded the motion?
No.
No, he didn't.
No.
You didn't rescind it.
No.
No.
That's what I thought I heard.
Okay. The motion, which was seconded, is that we accept the list of nominations by acclamation, exclude the entire list, excluding District 3.
And it was seconded by Jackie Scott, right? Okay. Go ahead. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and vote. We're just gonna do it by hands, right? All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. I knew this would be hard. Okay, so. Okay, go ahead. We gotta turn on your.
From the bylaws, Ms. Edna, the answer to your question, directors at large. The director at large shall be elected by the general membership, and there shall be one director from each commission district. They will serve as members of the membership committee. It is the responsibility of each director at large to recruit within the district, communicate council information to the neighborhoods in the district, and act as a liaison with association representatives as necessary.
Okay, and I appreciate that. We had Frankie Lane, I don't know how long he's been, the District 3 representative, and I have not got one phone call from this gentleman in reference to any.
I think, okay, Ms. Hedden, I appreciate what you're saying, but this is not the place to, this is not up for debate, whether what a candidate does or doesn't do. You all should know, okay? Pardon? Yeah, so they're each, are going to give a presentation about themselves. We're not going to have questions and answers about any of the candidates, and we're not going to have comments, okay? I appreciate that. At 3 minutes. So, in alphabetical order, Christine Jones, if you could come up here, and then we'll have Frankie Lane after that. Is that okay? Are you comfortable coming up here, or would you rather stay where you are? Okay, sorry. All right. All right. I can see you. I'll hand you. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for listening to me. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you why I want to run for this position. I've been a resident of Lauderdale Manor, homeowner for 44 years. I've been on the homeowners board for 40 of those years. I've been the vice chair, first chair. I've did recycling projects throughout the entire, how many years? Oh my God, I can't even count anymore. I'm concerned about the neighborhood because when I first started coming here, I got no information as to what was being taken place from this committee. Because I see now, like we had Marty Kier here today, he's talking about property stuff. What's going to happen if someone try to take your property? This is kind of information that needs to be brought back to the homeowners association throughout the entire district. That's what I think. If I'm elected for this position, that's what my intent is. Anybody in District 3, I want to make sure I get these, I want to Zoom it, I'm going to have a Zoom meeting to let them know what's going on and what's taking place here, because we need to know. We have one major thing that took place in our community. Y'all heard about it. It's called a forensic science lab. We knew nothing about that until it was almost there. So that's why I really want to run for this position. I know I'm a busy person, but everybody who in District 3, homeowners president, they need to know what the heck is going on in this city. That's the problem that we have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. Okay. And Mikey?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frankie Lane. I'm the current sitting representative for District 3 of the council. First of all, let me explain what the council is not. We're not an executive branch of government. We don't enforce laws. We're not legislative. We don't make laws. And we are not judicial, and we don't make judgments. What we do is receive recommendations from people in District 3 that are then brought before the council. It is not the representative's responsibility to contact every HOA, because this is made public by the city of Fort Lauderdale. Now, I've been involved with this HOA since the early 80s. I attend all District 3 meetings, and there are 2 of them per month. For those interested in events that involve District 3, that's what those meetings are for. It started with Mr. McKenzie, and now it's being carried on by Ms. Beasley. For those who feel that the city does not inform them, it's not the city's fault, and it's not my fault. All of this information is made available to every citizen in Fort Lauderdale. I would appreciate your vote. I do my best for this district. I understand that I don't belong to the district, I belong to the city of Fort Lauderdale. That's who I represent, city of Fort Lauderdale. And for those of you voting, thank you so very much for your vote.
Okay, so now we're going to pass out the ballots. So if you're like, too far away from us to come and get the ballot, I'm going to have Michael bring it to the person. No, don't, would you stay? Wait a minute. So, because again, he's only going to give a ballot to a person that is qualified to vote. Okay? And once you vote, where are you? John, right there. And John, I'll give you this to put the ballots in. Give your ballots to John. He'll be right up there. They're in the back of the room. He's not going to look at them. You can't see that well. And then I'm going to get one other person to count the votes. So there's 2 of them counting the votes. Okay? Does that sound fair to everybody? All right. And the people that count the votes are not people that are part of the on the nominate or have been nominated or been on the nominating committee. That would be John. Okay. Okay. So are you ready? Okay.
Names for District 1?
I'm sorry. What?
Is it an anonymous vote?
Yeah, it's anonymous.
It's not. We put our name on it.
You do not need to put your name on it. I prefer you not put your name on it. Okay? No. Okay. No, I can't vote. Don't walk around. What are you doing? Don't pass them out like that. No, okay. But it's only neighborhoods that vote. Okay, okay. You're getting ahead of me, so I'm easily confused, you know that. Okay. Okay, so Beverly Heights. That's Lynn. Okay. Uh, Birch Park. Breakwater Homes, they're not here. Central Beach Alliance.
Central Beach Lions right there?
Behind you. You know what? We might need two people doing this. Okay. Can you guys tell we don't do this every day? Okay. Cooley Hammett. Okay, Coral Ridge Country Club. Coral Ridge Association. Abby, she has one. Okay. Coral Ridge Isles. Okay, he has a ballot. Coral Shores, they're not here. Croissant Park. Croissant Park, no, they're not here. Downtown.
Here, I've got mine.
Okay. Edgewood, not here. Flagler Village, Leanne is way over there. Galt Mile, where's Marcia? Oh, she left? Okay, let me know if you notice her come back, let me know. Golden Heights. Harbordale, I assume you have yours, okay. Historic Dorsey. Idlewild. Where's Ann? Did I say it wrong? I might have said it wrong. Imperial Point. I have pens up here. Okay. Okay. All right. Lake Ridge, Michael, I assume you have yours. Yeah, you can have it. Landings. Lauderdale Beach. Okay. Whew, there's nobody here from Lauderdale Harbors. No. Lauderdale Eye Civic Improvement Association. Not here. Lauderdale Manors. Laudergate Isles. Melrose Manors. You have yours? Okay. Nurmi Isles. There you go, Janet. Palmair. They're not here. They're not here. Progresso. JJ left. River Garden Sweeting. Okay. Rock Island. Mr. Williams.
And a question. I have one question. How many votes did Rock Island get? One or two?
One. Every neighborhood get one vote. Okay.
I think one vote got to come out of that. Frankie vote cannot be counted. Must be my vote.
That's fine. Okay. Shady Banks. Shady Banks? I thought Barbara was here. Oh, there she is. Okay. You could totally block. I couldn't see you. Sorry. Sunrise Intercoastal. Have yours. Lynn Morgan, South Middle River. Tarpon River. Okay. And there's nobody here from Victoria Park. Okay, that's it.
Okay, well then we need to take one out.
Oh, you need somebody to help you. Let's see. We need Hey, Kimberly, could you help John count the votes when he gets them all together? Go.
No, we can't vote.
Is that okay?
Yeah, we got it right
Okay,
here,
so
James.
might be better once he gets them all. Like, just go back there or something like that. All right. You have a pen and stuff. Okay, thank you. All right. John Kimberly's going to help you. Well, it's just been a while since I've done anything like this, like ever. Democracy rich. No hanging chads.
Larry, will we count the votes, maybe?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, while they're counting, I'm going to have Marilyn talk about the P3 committee. So I just want to make this clear to everybody. P3s are a public-private partnership that there's been many of them throughout the city. Some have worked out fine, some not so fine. So the goal of the 3P committee is to discover, noun, verb, noun, how do these P3s work? And they're called P3s because of the 3Ps. And it's been a little bit of smoke and mirrors, it feels like, to some of us, especially myself. And I want to understand how it has happened and how it's supposed to happen, and what we as neighborhoods can do when it doesn't happen the right way. Okay, so that is the purpose of the P3 committee. It is not to put together legislation or make a law or anything complicated like that. We need to find people that can put this together so that me, Mary Peliquin, not a lawyer, can see how it works. I can read big words, but I understand how it's supposed to work, where it didn't work, why it didn't work, and what can be done for neighborhoods when it doesn't go right. Okay? So with that, I'm going to let Marilyn go ahead and talk about it. She is volunteered to operate this committee. I do suggest you do it by Zoom, and I'll let you go from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Mary eloquently explained what the situation has been in the recent past, and we have now an opportunity to answer some of those questions and decide what we can recommend going forward. So I'm just going to read this briefly so we save time. Recent experiences with unsolicited P3 processes have not been uniformly successful. Questions that have not been answered and have arisen are: what constitutes public purpose? What are the alternatives to a given P3 project? And what is a fair competitive process? Recent examples of unsolicited P3s, as she said, was Lockhart Stadium, the Swimming Hall of Fame, the One Stop Shop, and the water treatment plant. The process is governed by State Statute 255065. Unlike other municipalities, Fort Lauderdale does not have a companion ordinance. At one time, the city was considering an ordinance establishing a process. Instead, the city adopted only an ordinance that established an application fee. And there are content requirements, not official law, but content requirements that are described on the city's website. At the February 7, 2023 City Commission meeting, the current situation was discussed. And at the Commission's request, the city attorney presented ordinances from other municipalities around the state that have ordinances. The City Commission actually instructed the city attorney to revisit the need for an ordinance. He was asked to work with interested parties. The testimony urging the Commission to revisit the need for an ordinance at the February 6th meeting was delivered on the part of Lauderdale Tomorrow and many other people. I mean, over the years, many other people have also gone out. We just happened to be the ones who were there that night. Lucky, okay? However, this is a citywide issue and is appropriately a matter for for the council. Any citywide ordinance that will come before the commission will have to come before this council and for our comments. And so we may as well be part of the input to the city's attorney. Actually, a meeting is being scheduled for the week of March 20th. If you are interested in being a part of this committee, either raise your hand now or speak to me after the meeting when you get a chance to think about it. Please be aware that there will be homework involved. You will have to read materials. You'll have to read the ordinance. You'll have to read the state statutes. You'll have to read the material that the city attorney has provided about other ordinances. So this is not a freebie, let's sit down and have coffee. This is a working committee. So be sure you have the time and the energy to devote to it in the next couple of months. And then, of course, whatever recommendations the committee makes will go to the board, and the board will present it to the members, and we'll be able to have a full discussion among the membership. What exactly your questions? What's the current situation? What is not good? What possibilities there are to make it good, as appropriate, okay? This is our first and our best opportunity to revisit the P3 process and propose or have at least a input into an ordinance to make sure that the process is more transparent and participatory than just the state legislation alone. So that's the idea, and what we're looking for is a few good people. Oh, volunteers already, okay. All right. And this is going to start next week. So as soon as I get your ideas and your names, and I put them down and make sure I got it right.
You get the name right or?
Oh, okay, just the names. Okay, so I know it's Donna. It's Gustavo, Jackie, and Bill, Jackie and Bill, Christine, Leanne. Janet, thank you. Okay, there may be more opportunities. It doesn't have. Oh, and Mary. I'm sorry, Mary. Okay, all right. We'll be sending around an email with the background material for you to familiarize yourself and notice about when the first meeting is with the city attorney. And yes, Mary, we will do our discussions via Zoom so we don't drag people out to meetings. Yes, Jackie.
So it sounds like this has already been set up. Well, not.
No.
It sounds like you're kind of.
Yeah, well,
Is this a committee or you?
no, we're making a committee. This is the committee.
So when you say the 20th, who's going to come on the 20th?
Everybody on the committee.
Okay, what time of day?
I don't know. He's setting it up. The city attorney.
Okay. Is this the interim? So.
Yes. The commission has instructed the interim city attorney to meet with a committee to start talking about a potential ordinance, companion ordinance to the state statute. I mean, that's already been done. The commission has said it.
Professionals involved to help us with our decisions.
Yes, we can, absolutely.
And are we really going to be the ones telling?
No, we're not telling anybody anything. We're not the lawyers here. What we are is the community, and we're going to be talking with him about, okay? Good. Okay? All right, so I've got a committee. I'll be in touch. And then as soon as we get something, we'll come back to the board and we'll report to everybody what has transpired. Thank you very much for volunteering. Appreciate it. Okay.
Okay, so she's the winner.
Yep.
Janet and Mary.
We counted twice.
Okay, so the ballots have been counted twice by two people, and the person with the most votes is Christine Jones. So, all right.
All right.
Okay. Welcome to our 26 meetings a year. Okay. All right, but thank you both for wanting to be part of the board of the Council of Fort Lauderdale Civic Associations. I really appreciate it. So, okay. Yes.
I'd like to thank the nominating committee and Dennis for their all hard work.
Okay, and that's good. Dennis and his committee, which I know was Marilyn, and actually Christine was on it. Who else was on it?
Betty.
And Betty. Betty, I feel like, was Lynn, were you on it, Lynn? No.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, thank you. Okay. I want to say the 2023-2024 applications and dues are now due by the end of March. Okay, okay. All right. So I have paper applications if people need them. If you're not comfortable doing things online, I have them right up here somewhere. I also, you can go online. It's pretty easy to do it online if you can pay by PayPal or credit card, right? And you can get one of these paper applications I have and mail it in if you would rather do that. But I got a bunch of them here if people would like them. But they are due by the end of the month, right? Okay, there's that. We did have a quarterly social. Here, let me have this. Let's see if I can make this thing work. I already forget. Here we go. And it was a lot of fun. Oh, there's one picture. Now, you might think that we all know each other pretty well. Oh, why is it doing that? Don't do that. Oh, you're doing it. Okay. You get to know people even a lot better after they've had a beer. It's amazing how different people are. There were about 25 of us there. I wasn't smart enough to get pictures when everybody was there, and we were kind of like sprinkled around at one point. But it was a lot of fun. We really had a lot of fun. It was at Gulfstream Brewery, and it was everybody got a free beer, and because we had I had enough for like 40 people because we only had 25. Some people got 2 free beers, and it was fun to get to talk to a lot of people and just on a regular person basis. So the next one of these we're planning to do in May. So this was in District 1, but it was really District 2. It was right on the line. And so the next one we're going to do, it's going to be in District 3 in May. So I don't know why it's doing that, but why did that happen?
No,
I don't know. I don't know who's doing it. Oh, you're oh. It was like magic. Okay, I didn't know he was there. The next one will be in May in District 3, and we have some ideas. But keep yourself posted. I hope you guys can come. It was a little odd. It was on President's Day weekend, or President's Day. What's the matter? President's Day. And so the next one we'll try not to do and our meeting had been on Valentine's Day, so the next thing we'll try not to have it be on a holiday. I know Ted wanted to have it on Easter. It's being funny. So I hope that you guys can all come to the next one because it really was a lot of fun just to get to know people, right? It was fun, wasn't it, Barbie? No, I haven't. No, I haven't gotten that far in my life, but I think it's going to be in May in District 3. And I want it to be a local business. Wherever we do this, I really insist it be a local business. Not a Fridays or something like that. Pardon?
Did they give you like one free drink?
They do. They gave us quite a deal. The restaurant, they did. The vendor did.
we had
So,
extra.
it was fun. So, okay, next, the Charter Revision Board has started up again. It didn't seem to be operating anymore. Okay, we're all done with that. It stopped operating, it seemed like, had their last meeting in 2018. I'm not 100% sure why, probably a little bit because of COVID. But about a few weeks ago, they had their first meeting, and they've asked for a liaison from the council, of which Jim Concanon has volunteered to be. And I went, and Bill Brown was there. They really would like anybody can come to this. Anybody can come. So I'll put out the word. I'll send it out to all of you. It is held right here in this room, and it could be good. The more of us that come, the better. The better. So they're just getting started. So Jim has that's got to be Carla's.
No, it wasn't before. Okay.
All right. Anyway, Jim has a little report about what we learned the other night.
Well, good evening, folks. Part of my report just got canned because apparently the thumb drive that I had with 2 PowerPoint slides, didn't take. So it was just a visual. But let me ask you all a question. How many of you are familiar with the Charter Review Board? Not too many, very few actually. And the other is what those boards represent in terms of their power and their responsibility relative to city policies. Does anybody have any thoughts on that, or are you familiar with it? Is this kind of like a whole new thing for you? Well, one of the slides kind of gave a good perspective of that. It tells where the various boards, and there are many, there's a Marine Advisory Board, there's the Aviation Board, Education, and on and on and on. These boards are they're not policymakers. They're commissioned by the commissioners to review those various areas of expertise and make, excuse me, and make comments, take public opinion and public input as to what modifications might be made or what improvements can be made in those various areas. So in particular for the Charter Review Board, let me just try to put some perspective on this. The Charter Review Board does analysis, takes public input, discusses all aspects of what should be or shouldn't be contained in the charter and how the language should be written. But upon conclusion of our work, it still goes to the commission, and this is really important consideration. A lot of people think that when a board votes on something or comes to a conclusion, it's merely a recommendation for the city commission. It's not a policy-making board, it's a review board to advise the city commission, be it aviation, education, or in this case, the city charter. So, so the conclusion of the work goes to the commission to adopt or reject before it goes to the public for a vote, and then only the eligible public can vote on the final changes. So, for example, in the charter review, in the charter is how the city operates. That's the basic rules, if you will, on operating the city. There's also one for the state. I think every municipality and government organization has a charter. In the case of our city, periodically we review those rules and baselines of operation and decide on if there's any changes, modifications that might be necessary. And those modifications might be based on, let's just take housing, for example. It might be housing. Maybe it's about how a city regulates density. Obviously, that's code issue, but I mean, this all plays into what the charter of the city does, and this is what the charter review is going to opine on. One thing is really important, Mary brought it up, let me emphasize it. While I'm a liaison for our organization, we encourage, and at the last meeting it was highly encouraged, that the public attends. So all of you are invited to attend these meetings and put your 2 cents on the table. When items come up for vote or for discussion, they are encouraging you to participate as much as possible. Because remember, this is the foundation of our city rules and regulations. Doesn't mean it's going to happen the way the Charter Commission recommends, but it tends to have an influence on how things get done and how things change in the charter. At the first meeting that Mary and I went to, a couple of the things we talked about, one was a real heavy emphasis on public input from the council. The chair will be distributing meeting materials in advance. So when we get those materials, be it Mary or myself, we'll get that information out to you through the presidents. I mean, I'll try to post that on the website. Not sure if I'm going to use a constant contact. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in constant contact, and I think people get overwhelmed by that, by too many emails, so I don't want to really dilute the process by overexposing it through emails. The meetings are all going to be recorded, so the purpose of that is if you can't make it, just like if it's a city commission meeting, there's an opportunity for you to go online and look at the meeting, just like you would for any of the public meetings. There's always an attorney present during these meetings, so everything has to be by the book and has legal implications to a degree. And then the results of it goes to the county attorney and then the inspector general for review before anything actually takes place. So there's a long process, and again, I apologize, the slides didn't come up because it explains that process and it shows where the board, where this board falls into the city structure, so the organizational structure of the city. Anybody have any questions?
Could you email the slides to us so we can?
The 2 slides? Yeah, what I was thinking of doing was putting those up on the website. I'll put a link there. I mean, I can send an email, but I'd like to put it up there so you can all take a look at it. They're pretty basic because there's a whole manual that David Solomon, the city clerk, sent me late this afternoon. It was like, I guess, at 4:30, 4:45. And that outlines all the do's and don'ts of any kind of board or committee as it relates to the city and as it relates to the public input.
Did you all decide exactly your frequency of your meetings, when, et cetera?
Once
So
a
we
month.
can put it in our
The next
calendar?
one is April the 13th.
And what does that represent? Is it the second Monday, the third? What, are you consistent with when you're going to
I
meet?
can't remember. Was it a Thursday?
So it's going to be every Thursday?
Janina Robinson is the liaison for the neighborhood support. Would you please?
Sure, the meetings, the Charter Revision Board meetings are the first Thursday of every month. However, this April is going to be April 13th because the first Thursday in April conflicts with Passover. So it's going to be April 13th in April, but the Charter Revision Board meetings are the first Thursday of every month here at City Hall and Commission Chambers at 5:30.
Excellent. And you're the liaison, so you can send the agenda also to all the neighborhood presidents.
I can, I did send it to.
Cool. Okay.
You say the charter cannot make policies,
Correct.
but can they object policies?
Can they?
Reject policies?
They can make recommendations.
Okay.
Remember, they're going to make a recommendation based on their discussions and public input, and they'll take that back to the commission, and then the commission votes on whether or not to accept or reject that recommendation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Oh, question answered. Okay, thank you, Jim.
That's
Thank you
it?
very much. All
We'll
right.
have more as we move through this process, since Mary and I went for the first time. So we'll learn more and we'll share that with you.
Okay, so before anything else, I want to acknowledge we have a couple of visitors in the back of the room. First of all, we have Ryan Thomas, who was the Chief of Staff for Commissioner Sturman from District 4, and he's out here the whole time, so thank you, Ryan. And then secondly, we have dragged 4 of our finest through our whole meeting, and I apologize for that. Maybe next time, if you guys are going to show up all the time, I'll have you go way earlier. I just didn't really quite realize that, but you just want to come up and again, I know some of you have been here before, or you might have been to my homeowners. Come on up. Oh, they've sat there so long. I mean, I certainly know, I recognize almost everybody. Just introduce yourselves and, here you go.
I'm pretty good, pretty loud. Everybody can hear me, right? I don't know if I need that.
Will that record?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Sergeant Eric Peckerell. I represent Police District 1's Community Support Unit. And this is just a fraction of my team. We actually have 2 other officers and a service aide that work with us. So I have Officer Victoria Negron Rodriguez, Officer Geraldo, and also Officer Nick Herring. So basically, we're just out there. We take all of any concerns that you have, and we try to come up with good solutions to any problems that we may encounter for you guys. So it's a lot different than the normal patrol response, where an officer will show up, do a report, and then leave. We take it a whole step further. We build a case and try to take it to the goal line. So that's essentially what we do. I don't want to take up too much time, but I just had a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Today, we partnered with the Law Enforcement Torch Run for fundraising for Special Olympics. And today we actually had a very successful event at TAP 42 down by Broward General Hospital, where we raised almost $1,600 in 2 hours. So we actually have 4 additional ones that I just wanted to kind of bring to your attention, and I was going to pass it along through neighbor support, see if maybe we could push it out. But we have one is going to be at Smitty's, I believe. No, hang on. One second. I'm going to pull my calendar. Just give me one moment.
Yes, issue.
Okay, so the next one coming up is on March 29th. It's actually going to be at the Red Lobster. So Miss Betty, I'm looking at you. It's going to be in your area. So I'm hoping to see you there and I'll bring everybody you have, all your friends, family. It basically, I don't know if anybody, just a quick backstory. We just go there, we help out the waiters and waitresses to serve the tables, and we just we partner with the athletes. Yeah, the one on North Federal, 5950 North Federal. And we partner with the Special Olympics Committee, and they bring some athletes there to kind of talk about what they do, and how they like to compete in these events. And we take all the money that's raised there and we give it directly to them. So it's just a nice thing to do, and you get to meet a lot of your neighbors and things like that in the process. So, okay, so the Red Lobster is March 29th. It's actually a lunch event, so 1 to 4. And then we're doing an additional one at the Chick-fil-A on 2650 North Federal. That's also a lunch till early evening, so it's at 2 o'clock, 2 to 5. Yeah, Monday, April 3rd. I apologize. Yes, Chick-fil-A is April 3rd. That's 2650 North Federal. Oh yeah, I know it's crazy there anyway. So we know. Well, we have a high turnover in there, so we just hope we can get a high volume in there. We're not going to add to any of the traffic problem, I hope. But yeah, but I know that's an ongoing issue, and that's what we're here for, to try to mitigate these issues, as they come in. But I know that's a long, ongoing process
They
with that
just
one.
fixed it. They
Did
just
they?
fixed it, so we'll hope you don't mess
Oh.
it up.
Well, I got to go over there and check it. So, and then finally, we partnered with Smitty's on Sistrunk, and they have already pledged 10% of their sales for that night, and they're going to have a special meal that evening. That is going to be on. We changed it to the 21st because it was conflicting with the opening night of Tortuga, which was the week prior. So yeah, that's going to be April 21st, and that's going to be for dinner time, 4 to 8. And that's going to be at Smitty's, 1134 Northwest 6th Street. So we're really excited about that one as well. So we hope to see all of you there if you can make it. And I know the commissioners and such have been notified of it. So we're all going to be out there just trying to make a difference for these athletes. So that's pretty much everything I have. Any questions for me?
Can I ask, are you guys, because I think you were at our last meeting, some of you were, what, are you normally going to come to our meetings like this? If you are, you don't have to, I just want to know.
Do you like me here?
Huh?
Do you want me to come? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. No, I'll definitely try to make every single one that I can.
Okay. All right. We'll try to put you first, so you're not sitting here all night.
I like hearing what you have going on too.
Oh,
so,
okay. All right.
I mean, you can put us up front just in case we have to push out, but
okay.
I don't mind. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Red Lobster. All right.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Mary's got one more. Okay.
One thing to Red Lobster. I'm sorry. Yeah, so Red Lobster, I don't know if many of you, I mean, I've heard saying you've been doing things for 40 plus years. That's amazing. It's longer than I've been alive. Yeah, I'm 36, so. But back in the 70s, we actually had an officer that was killed in the line of duty at the Red Lobster, and we've actually invited his widow there, who has not been back there since, and she has accepted the invitation. So she's going to be our special guest at the Red Lobster. Yeah, our Fraternal Order of Police has graciously, they're going to take care of the tab for her and any guests that she brings, and it's just something to think about, knowing that he had lost his life back in the 70s. Responding to an alarm. Yes, sir.
Killers is still in prison, and when it comes up for parole, I sent a letter to parole for it that he should spend the rest of his life in prison. He was originally sentenced to death, and it was commuted, I believe.
Yeah, so and we really appreciate that. It was a terrible thing. It obviously. Yeah, he was.
The minute you said Red Lobster, that's exactly what went into my brain. I remember that morning.
Yeah, so. It's crazy to me that a lot of people actually still remember that event, when it occurred, and we'd like to get a lot of support for both the Olympians and for her as well, because she's still here. She's 88, so we don't know how much longer we'll have her around, but yeah, so that's it. So I just wanted to put that one out there as well. What's that? Yes, March 29th. Awesome. So lunchtime. All right. Thank you.
Uh,
I got to take care of all that.
Okay.
And I got 4 days.
Okay, and thank you. Okay, and we're going to have a quick word from our neighborhood support team. I just have a couple things, right? Am I correct? I need some scotch, quick. Okay, don't run away, don't run away. Yes.
All right, hi everyone. My name's Laura. I'm a senior management fellow. So I hope all of you have been receiving my email about the neighborhood recognition program. The deadline was on March 1st, and I'm going to be sending out the parking passes to everyone who submitted an application in the next 2 weeks. But I wanted to pass around this flyer for the Neighbor Leadership Academy. So every spring and fall, we do an academy that lasts 5 weeks, and it's a way to engage everyone to learn more about the community. So I'd like for you all to share it with the neighbors in each of your associations to encourage participation. So I'm going to leave the flyers up here if anyone's interested. Oh, okay. Michael's going to pass them around. So there's a QR code if you want to scan it to apply, and also you can send the link to your friends. So I look forward to reading all your applications.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we're almost finished. Please don't run away. Running away. Okay. Before we go any further, I had to sit here and think about it for a minute. I do want to thank Frankie Lane for his service to the board of the Council of Fort Lauderdale Civic Associations. There was never a time that I didn't call Frankie, that he didn't step up to the plate and help me with something, because there were a lot of things I didn't understand about how things worked in District 3, and he was really very helpful to me. And certainly during some of the pretty big projects we had the last couple of years, he was always there to help me. So, and all of us really. So Frankie, I want to thank you for all you've done for the council, and I hope you still come to the meetings. You are the alternate for your neighborhood, so you haven't really escaped. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Having said that, you all should have been able to see the minutes. I've gotten everybody right. Do I have any corrections or any additions or anything to the minutes? Do I have anybody to make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting? Okay, did you see that, hear that? Janet? Okay, and do I have a second? Gus, second it, please. Gus seconds it. Gus, right there. Gus. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, and then our treasurer's report?
Yes.
are you?
So this is Melinda, the treasurer, with a quick update on our financials for, as of today, March 13. We've got $6,893 in our Truist Primary Business checking account. Our PayPal account, which is where we receive most of your membership fees, is now at a balance of $2,153, rounding up. And that gives us a total of $9,046 in the council accounts. With the treasurer's report, I always include the membership list. And so I think we've got a good gauge on where everyone stands. At this point in time, we've got 26 associations that have renewed and are members now through March 31st, 2024, which is great. We're only 2 associations behind last year. So this time last year, I think we had 28. Ultimately, we want to get over 50 signed up to make sure you're renewed. So please send in those membership applications. Everyone was eligible to vote because you're all paid through this into March this month. But as soon as April 1st hits, we're in a new fiscal year. So yes.
How many are there?
In total, recognized neighborhood associations, City of Fort Lauderdale, that could potentially join the council, I believe, Mary, would it be about 65?
Aren't there about 80 some odd?
86 total neighborhoods, and this year have 54 recognized.
Okay.
Only 54, so we had almost everybody.
All right. So only 54 recognized, although I think they can still become a recognized neighborhood, can't they? They can still fill out their application, can't they?
You thought you were done.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. Okay, so the application period is open every year from January 1st to March 1st. I've been making a couple of exceptions because I understand that there's new presidents coming in and a lot of people don't know when to submit it or how to submit it. So if you have not submitted your application yet, meaning you didn't go online and send me an application that has your bylaws, that has your president, your vice president, I still have it open and you can email me and I will accept your application. But I would need that before the end of this week because I'm processing parking passes. So if I don't get it after, what day is on Friday? I think that's the 17th.
17th.
So if I don't get your application by the 17th, or if I don't get a notification from an email or a phone call, I will be able to give you a parking pass this year. My email address is lmccoy@fortlauderdale.gov. Okay, so if anybody needs me, I'm going to be over there for the next couple of minutes until the meeting adjourns. Yes.
Back on your question. If it's a newly recognized neighborhood and they do the process starting next month or the month after, new to be recognized. So
Okay.
30 out of that 86 are unrecognized.
Yeah. So if it's a newly recognized neighborhood, I have to look into the time frame, but you can become recognized by the city. I'll just have to probably pull some strings to get a parking pass because I'm processing parking passes right now.
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Wow, what? Okay, okay. Okay. Whew. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, thanks for that. But yeah, it sounds like right now only 54. That's our top number, but we can exceed that. You just may not get a parking pass. So get two different things: getting your neighborhood recognized as official neighborhood by the city. You have to do it annually, and then separate thing is paying your membership to go through March 31st, 2024 with the council. Thank you.
Okay, and there are several civic associations that have paid, but we don't have a form.
For those who are not recognized, and I need to tell you this, if you're not recognized, you do not get monies for green your routine. I'll say this again. If you're not recognized through neighborhood support, you're not eligible to get monies for green your routine. So that is a fact. Okay?
Can I add to that?
Sure.
You're also not theoretically eligible to receive notices of the public participation meetings in your community. You have to be on their official list. Now, they're very good. They send them out, to a broad sweep of communities. But according to the ordinance, those public participation meeting notices only are required to be sent to recognized recognized neighborhoods that are recognized by the city. So really, it's very important. It's free. Okay, you don't have to pay. You have to pay us, but you don't have to pay them. So you really should get recognized.
And again, I'm just looking at this list, there's about 8 civic associations that have paid their $50, have not turned in a form. So if you have any changes in your leadership and you haven't turned in a form, I don't know this. You come here.
You need me for something?
Oh, yeah, I just want to say that.
We want to see you just walk. Come on.
No. I just want to say Marty Kara's presentation was great tonight. He talked about property values, and we collectively as a body need to make sure that we get more money for neighborhoods in this city.
Yeah, his presentation was good. Okay.
If you want to pay, bring the money to the treasurer tonight. We have it now.
Yes.
Yes. And I have the form for you to fill
We
out.
would never say no to money.
Yeah. So yes, I always will take money wherever I am. Okay, so you can come get this, and I think Golden Heights needs to fill this out too. Is she here?
I'll bring it up there.
Okay,
We need two? Give me another one.
Before you adjourn, I have something.
hang on for a second.
Paper.
What'd you say?
Before you adjourn, I have something under good for the community.
Okay, so, Okay, one last thing, no old business. Please tell me there's no old business. Okay, how about for the good of the community, which I always kind of like this, Mr. Brown.
Bill Brown, President of Central Beach Alliance. At the last commission workshop, or in the commission meeting, it was also brought up about special events and the impact that special events are having on traffic. The city's getting more and more special events. The commission was quite upset the fact that they had to approve one that only had 3 days prior to the event to approve it. So they directed the city manager to bring back at one of the 2 meetings in April at a conference meeting to start talking about special events. Should there be a moratorium on any new events coming in? So I encourage everyone to come in at that conference meeting and give your thoughts, your opinions, because it's becoming a major problem, especially on the Barrier Island, downtown now, and some of the parks. And when is enough is enough? We don't know, and that's what they want to address. Sometimes they have 3 and 4 events going on in the Barrier Island, and there's no coordination amongst the events organizers. So I encourage you to come out, give your comments. As I said, it's going to be one of the 2 conference meetings next month, and the city manager will have that on the agenda. So, a lot of people complain on Next Door Neighbor about traffic, and they put their comments, but the commission needs to come and hear their comments, because they don't read those. Okay? Thank you.
We suffer from living in a wonderful city that everybody wants to stay.
So I can just say, I, in my old age, when it was in my second swim meet a few weeks ago at the Aquatic Center, and it was the same weekend as the marathon. I certainly knew the marathon was going to happen there. I thought, well, I can make it. And then my husband took me, and he only took me like a third of the way there, and it was like, no way I was going to make it. So Old Mary walked 2 miles all the way to the Aquatic Center, was in the meet, swam twice, nearly died, and then I walked home. But I mean, part of the problem was they were doing road construction. So, so it's just, I don't know, there's probably some people who are still there. I don't know what to say about that. So.
And we encourage special events, but there's no coordination on the number, on how many you can have on one given day.
Yeah.
There's no guidance, there's no policies, and that's what the commission's recommending.
It just seems like it's every week is a problem. Oh, here, I'm sorry. Do you need to?
Just real quick, we're doing a shoe drive here in the city starting tomorrow. National Shoe, where we're collecting gently worn shoes for the homeless community that we'll be donating to Broward Partnership. So we have 5 locations, City Hall, the Police Department.
Michael, you give this back to Laura too.
And Holiday Park, South Side, and one other park. So please contact me, or if you have gently worn shoes, I will be collecting here at Neighbor Support starting tomorrow until the end of March for the homeless community.
I have a question.
Gently worn shoes, that'll be donated. Yep, drop them off at City Hall from now to the end of the week.
Jania, I have a question.
Go ahead, ask a question.
Yeah, Jania, you said the fire department. Is that any fire station or a specific one?
Only Fire Station 2.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, and speaking of the beach, if you haven't seen it, spring break is here. If you want to go see, not old bodies in bikinis, there's a lot of them there. So no alcohol, no coolers, no tents, tables, no live or amplified music, electric or motorized scooters, no unauthorized vendors. I drive down the beach 4 times a week to go to the Aquatic Center. Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of people there, but it's in good shape. I got to hand it to everybody, all the visitors. So, all right. So I think that's it for this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. It was a long meeting. I appreciate everybody sticking around.
Gary?